Hello and welcome to another video on Frames team. Let's talk about the new firmware update on the Nikon Zf. It's firmware 1.10. It's important not to just tell you what this firmware gives you, but also how to use the feature unlocked. Now, what it essentially gives you is the slow-mo function. The slow-mo function was not available on the Nikon Zf before this firmware update. In fact, the slow-mo function is not available on my Z8 as yet. It is available on the Z6 to Z7 too. However, if you are not familiar with it, let me tell you, it's a very powerful tool. Let me tell you how it works, because that's important. But before I get there, I think first take you through how to download the firmware update, because many of you could be the first time users of Nikon. Just go onto Google and search Nikon Zf firmware update. And once you do that, you'll get a few search results. Look for the ZF firmware update in the description of your search results. Once you do that, go inside and then just see what this firmware update description tells you. The change is that it adds a slow motion video recording function. That's about it. And there's a bug fix in which the live view display did not work properly in some situations. I never faced it. I've been using this camera for about, I think, since the time it was launched. If there was a bug, it's fixed. The slow motion video recording function is what interests me. Now all you do is you go down, click on the box where you have to just accept the terms and conditions, user license agreement, download the firmware, and then what you do is that the file that's downloaded, it will be a .bin file. Now you have to find that in your download box. Now don't try to read what's on my screen. Don't be a creep. You have to just use a card reader to connect the ZF SD card, connect that to computer, and take that file, copy that file off. So whatever SD card you're using, ensure that you copy the .bin file onto this card. Now do not go inside any folder. Just open the card. There will be a couple of folders. One folder will be named Nikon, the other folder will be named, I think, DCIM. Don't go inside those folders, just paste it to the root folder. I think it's called the root folder. Take the card out. You don't necessarily need to format the card, honestly. A lot of people will tell you that you need to format the card before you do this process. You don't need to do that. Just paste the file there. Take the card out, insert the card onto your camera. Now, once you've done that, first go into setup menu, and then go down to the last menu item inside setup menu. And inside that you will see your current firmware update will be shown. It's probably going to be version 1. Press on update. Inside that, press on the OK button. After that, the camera will take a few minutes to actually go through the process and to update the firmware. After it's done, it'll say update completed, turn off camera. Remember to turn off the camera. Don't just leave the camera on update and go away. Stay there for 5 minutes. Once the update is completed, it's not going to take more than 3-4 minutes. Turn your camera off. It's very important that you do that. Now go inside your video recording menu and go to video file type. Once you go there, you will see that typically you will be your camera will be by default on MOV, movie file type. Now when your file type is, when you're recording in MOV, you will not see any change in the frame size or frame rate options that are being shown here. What you have to do is you have to go inside and change to MP4, H.264 file format. You have to choose H.264 8-bit MP4, and once you have done that in video file type, when you go inside the frame rate and frame size menu option, you will see there are 3 options to use your slow motion. You'll have, now remember that when you go inside the file type, the video file type, and if you choose nlog or any of the 10-bit profiles, this slow-mo option is not going to be available to you. This is not going to be available to you in 4K. It's only going to be available to you in MP4, H.264 and Full HD. Okay, only those specific parameters need to be met in order for you to access this this feature. Now I wish Nikon would have allowed us to actually map this function to one particular function button maybe, but Nikon unfortunately does not do that. So what I have done is I have actually kept it on my I menu. You can see when these parameters are set, I can go inside my I menu and I can see that the slow-mo options are available here. So I can't assign it to a button, but I can definitely put it on my I menu, which is again convenient. No problem, but I wish the other option of putting it on an I menu was there. The reason I say that is because look at this camera. This is the Sony A7 IV. We actually have this toggle here. Okay, you actually have a lever here, and I can put it on slow mo. They call it SNQ mode, right? So that's the option I have on the Sony A7 IV, and that's, I think, is a very nice option to have. Okay, I cannot do that on the Z bodies, unfortunately. Not bad, but it's just something to keep in mind that you have that option in other cameras. Not all cameras, at least the newest Sony bodies. Now, now remember, when you record in this mode, you're not going to get any audio in your file. What you're going to get is straight out of camera, you're going to get slow motion to begin with. And the camera was automatically set to 100 shutter speed because that was the minimum shutter speed required when I'm shooting 120 frames per second. 120 shutter speed is the minimum requirement. In during normal daylight situations, no problem at all. And if you have artificial light situations and if you're trying to shoot it in low light and night conditions, you may get banding. That's just what happens when you shoot at 120 frames per second or any frame rate beyond 60 frames per second. Like I said, it's available only in MP4 file format and only in 10-bit, only in Full HD or 1080. So that's a bit of a disappointment because at this stage I would have I would have liked to actually access 10-bit, but none of these cameras, the Sony A7 IV or the ZF, none of these cameras actually offer 10-bit slow-mo shooting. Now, one interesting quirk is that when you switch on your slow-mo option from the menu, you cannot use DX mode for video shooting. You have to be in full frame. You cannot use DX mode. Surprisingly, the Sony doesn't have any such problem. The Sony can actually do slow-mo in both full frame and APS-C mode. Look here. So this is the full frame mode. As you can see, the camera is right now in photo mode. Let me change to video mode now, and let me change to SNQ, and you can see there is no problem at all. Okay, and if I go inside the menu and turn on APS-C shooting, so now I'm cropped in and the APS-C shooting option is on. I can still shoot in slow-mo, but remember, this also shoots in 8-bit. I don't know if you can see this here. This is 8-bit here. Even if you choose to put the camera in 10-bit from the menu, the camera will automatically override that and record only in 8-bit in slow-mo. So Sony has that advantage. You can shoot in APS-C mode and do slow-mo, so you can get that extra reach. But unfortunately, it still cannot do 10-bit. But it's a good thing to see that Nikon is actually spending time on the ZF, and the ZF is on their mind. That's an amazing thing. I love it, and I love thinking about the future of this camera. I think the future of this camera is very, very bright and very interesting, and I think we can expect a lot more firmware updates on the ZF because it sports the Xpeed 7 processor, and it actually has the lightest sensor, as in it doesn't have to process that many megapixels. So I think it has the power to unlock a lot more features going forward. So that's what is exciting for all of us. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you can if you want to use this, how you want to use this. This is great for many types of filmmaking, especially for high speed shooting, product filmmaking. I think this feature is going to be interesting. I'm going to see you soon with another one soon.